Welcome, everybody, to the Keep Alive podcast. I'm your host, William Lee, and today we have a very special show for the folks out in the Fredrickson Graham area. Today's podcast is brought to you by the great folks at B&G Sponsored Events. Coming in February is going to be the B&G Sponsored Events third annual Valentine's Affair. Now, it's going to be at the Mount Tacoma High School in the Commons area. It's going to start at 10 a.m. in the morning. It's going to run until 5 p.m. There'll be several vendors and a lot of great information and things to see at the show. I was very honored to be asked by Kurt Patterson if I would do a podcast concerning the actual meeting of the Fredrickson Clover Creek Community Council and the importance of this particular meeting. Now, as you all are aware of, it's in February, there's going to be levy requests for the schools and a levy bond request put out for the fire district. It's always impossible for everybody to understand all of the levies, taxes, and breakdowns of different needs in our community and the financial structure of these different needs. On this podcast, we're going to take you back into the council chambers so that you can listen to Mr. Tom Seigel, who is the Superintendent of Schools for the Bethel School District, and Mr. Pat Dale, who is the new Fire Chief for the Graham-Fire District. Now, let's join the meeting.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. This meeting's a little different. I want you all to understand you are being recorded. We have the podcasting. Bill's over here, and he will be putting together a program, and then it'll be put out. I'll let him explain all the particulars of it. They say they got about 20,000 people or so who listen to the program regularly. And for today, I anticipated having Mr. Seigel here, who may have been caught in traffic.
Snooze, you lose.
That's right. So he's going to speak about the school bond issue. As you all know, I've told you many times, you can get up there, Pat.
Okay, I'll take my chance.
Don't let me hold up the program if it's okay, because they were all together. I spent several months working with the school board on going through what they needed, the condition of the school, how they're financed, and the other intricacies of the school, and it was quite an education. And Tom will give you a lot of stuff. This is Pat Dale, for those of you who have not met him. Fredrickson has 2 fire departments. He has half he's responsible for. Everything this side of Canyon Road. Central Pierce has the other side, and I don't know, whatever else you got out there. So, Pat, if you'd like to take the floor.
Thank you, sir. Thanks for having me here. And I also want to thank Carolyn and Bob Beanham, because I know that's why I'm here. So let me introduce myself just a little bit more. My name's Pat Dale. I'm your fire chief at Graham Fire and Rescue. I'm brand new. I'm the newest person there. I started September 1st. But I come with experience. I come with about 35 years of experience. It was between Kent, City of Kent Fire Department, and Olympia. I split that 35 years almost in half. So I grew up in Olympia, where I met my wife of 34 years. And that's my fire service experience. I started in Graham September 1st, and since then, my wife of 34 years and I moved from Olympia, where we were living, up here to this area. I'm sort of old-fashioned that way. I think the fire chief should live in the area where we serve. So I used a local real estate company, Service First, Joseph Romero. Does anybody know Joseph from Service First? A local real estate company helped us sell our house in Olympia, move up here. We used a local moving company. We're becoming members of the community. I'm part of the Graham Business Association now, and I'm glad to be here this morning.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for having me. So I know Tom's going to do the same thing when he gets here. I have a history of instructing in the fire service also. I teach various topics in the fire service. So I like to use a slide deck just to sort of, that's my notes up there on the board and some visuals for you to look at. I see the room is configured so that you're looking at me up here, but the screen's over there.
We'll turn.
So I guess I'll sort of make you uncomfortable in your chairs here as we look at some images that I'll talk about here. So I'll talk about our department and just start out with our mission. In my, again, 35 years of fire experience, I'm appreciative that our mission is pretty simple. It's pretty clear. We exist because people call 911, and when it's for other than a law enforcement need, we respond. And we respond to an address, and our mission becomes we help people. It's simple. And it's a wide, varied means in which we help people. And I'll talk about the diverse services that we provide, but we help people. That's why we exist. And I'll talk about our values here just briefly as we go along too. Now this is describing Graham Fire and Rescue. These values were established prior to my coming here, but in my short time here I've seen our members walk and live these values. I'll tell stories that I've seen already of our members doing this. Professionalism. We have, I believe, high standards in the fire service, and we hold ourselves accountable to those high standards, and we do the same thing at Graham Fire and Rescue. Professionalism. We conduct our business when that 911 calls and we get in our big red trucks and go to an address. We conduct our business in a professional way. We're accountable to our behaviors and our actions that we conduct our business with when we interface with you, our citizens that we serve. And I've seen empathy and compassion in our members. I've seen them not disqualify our citizens with their high level of qualifications. You know, we have paramedics in the fire departments, quite a few paramedics, and you talk about a high level of skill. They're basically doctors in the field. They're the first entry level of care in the field. And even in my years, I started in the very end of the 70s, which is kind of when our service made a transition from our jargon in the service is sort of a scoop and run. Remember when ambulances used to just show up and literally just throw someone in the... Well, they didn't throw people.
Yes, they do.
I mean, like, it's not carried away here, but sort of pick people up and just immediately transport them. And then there was a transition where we learned if we could stabilize intravenous IVs and intubations and some medications and drugs, stabilize first, and then transport as quickly as possible, the outcomes were more favorable. People had a higher survival rate by doing that. So that's the system we're using currently. Our goals, again, I'll kind of emphasize this bottom bullet here. This is what I intend to lead our organization more towards that last bullet. I want to emphasize that along with the other ones that you see here. This is what I'm doing here today. I intend to lead this organization by being visible, adding value to the community, not only to the 911 response, but we can bring safety and that added value into the community that we serve. And my experience that I have to draw from, I think I can lead this organization to become more involved in the community. So who we are, we're governed by a 5-member Board of Fire Commissioners, elected officials. Those are our dignitaries, elected officials that I report to directly. And our governance policies are set at that level. Currently we have about 66 career firefighters, 15 civilian administrative support, and we have about a dozen volunteers. So we still have volunteer firefighters, and I've already started an initiative to increase that level of volunteer cadre that we have. So it's not just career that I'm going to talk about. I intend to add staffing, and I'm going to describe to you as best I can and articulate why I believe we need to add career staffing, but at the same time we're going to be bolstering our volunteer force. I think that's important too. So a little bit more of a story when I came here. You know, it's a large district we cover, 70 square miles approximately. And one of the members of the organization was driving me around to the fire stations that we have, and when we pulled into one of the stations down 224th east of Meridian, it's our station 96. We pulled in and the driver, he told me, "Chief, this is our station 96. And our firefighters take care of our grounds. They mow the lawn, they weed the flower beds, and take care of the grounds at all of our stations." And he said, "Chief, at this station we happen to have a large water retention area. And again, we're responsible by county code to keep that grass down and blackberries and all that." And he said, and after they showed me the station, I met the firefighters, took me outside, and he said, to keep care of the grounds and the water retention, Chief, we have
Goats.
Chief, we have goats. And they were sort of like this. That's why I did that. Is he kind of was afraid to my reaction of, we have goats.
Organic.
Yes. So I met Drip Torch at that time, and since then we've added Frankie. 3 goats. So firefighters got goats, put them in the water retention area to keep the grass in. You've seen that before?
Yep.
People rent. Okay, so I see everybody's head in here shaking. See, I had to admit to everybody in our department that I realized I was no longer from the city fire department of Olympia when I found out we have goats. I have fun with the goats. Yes, sir.
Is that a paid position?
They're not. And I'll also let you know that all during the summer, of course, they eat grass and blackberries. Now, this time of year, we have to enhance that a little bit so the firefighters buy their food. And they feed them pellets. I'm going to talk more about the goats because I am, frankly, kind of enamored with the goats and the fact that we have goats. I have a lot of fun with the goats.
Do you have little goats yet?
Not yet.
I'll take one.
We should make a note of that. Okay, I get a kick out of the fact that we have goats. They're really friendly, they're fun. I'll talk more about them. So again, the area that we serve, there's a simple map. It's approximately 70 square miles with some additional area that, hi Tom, that we cover even beyond that 70 square miles. And then the stars on the map are the location of our fire stations. About 70 square miles. It's about, I've seen different numbers, but I use the number of about 70,000 population. What else up here? And of course that population is growing and is projected, as you know. I've read from a couple of different sources, and I think my friend Tom Seigel is going to talk about it too, but the fastest growing county in the nation in the last year, Tom, which county was it?
Yours.
Right here. And the projections are that it's going to be continued growth because of the rising costs of housing in King County, Seattle specifically. I think Tom will use the number of 800,000, Tom, median house price in Seattle.
$825,000 median value of a house in Seattle.
Yeah. Okay, I'm going to stop. Did you bring my T-shirt today, Tom?
I'll
wear one.
I'll get one for you.
If I get a T-shirt,
I'll get one for you.
His shirt will not fit you.
Well, it may be a different.
Well,
Yes,
it'll
it
fit
will.
2 of him. Okay, it'll fit 2 of them.
It'll fit him.
2 for 1, man. We're partners. I'll wear a T-shirt. And last year we responded in that area with that population, area of about 70,000, population of about 70,000. We responded to about 7,000 calls for service. In my words, the 3 bullets on the left side over there, our service, again, we exist because people call 911 and have needs other than law enforcement. We deploy to an address. That's as simple as I can distill it down to. Now, what that takes with our people, like Captain Woody, I forgot to introduce my partner and colleague in crime, Captain Woody, who's been here 20 years? 15, 20 years in Graham Fire Department, so very knowledgeable in the area. He'll fill in gaps that you might stump me with questions as I'm learning our district. But in my words, our service, first of all, is time sensitive. So we situate, prior to my coming here, we've situated fire stations in the area that we cover so that we have a good opportunity to arrive at addresses as soon as possible. See, the events that we respond to range from